The front of the EQS is dominated by the large so-called black panel grille with a central star. Optionally, this can now be ordered with a three-dimensional star pattern to achieve a particularly exclusive look. The daytime running lights of the LED headlights consist out of three parts. On top, a light band is connecting the headlamps. Overall, the front look of the 1.92 m wide EQS still looks, despite its clear membership of the EQ family, a lot like a Mercedes S-Class. But that changes when you look at it from the side. The relatively short, low-cut bonnet is immediately noticeable here. The so-called one-bow design, together with a passenger cell that has been moved forward, creates the unique side view of the 5.21 m long EQS. The roofline spans over the entire side of the car like an arch and creates, together with the short overhangs, a typical coupe look. There are also wheels up to 22 inches in size and a wheelbase of 3.21 m to support this. At the rear of the EQS, flowing shapes dominate and create a rather round impression. In contrast, a sharply drawn spoiler adorns the trunk lids. The interior of the LED taillights is shaped like a curved 3D helix. Together with a light band between the taillights, this creates a very unique look. The drag coefficient of the EQS of 0.20 is a record for serious vehicles and has been achieved through many optimizations. Not only is the cooler usually closed and the underbody is extremely flat. On top, all EQS featuring flush door handles as standard. Now I'm talking to a Mercedes expert regarding to what the EQS can deliver when we talk about battery and charging.
So looking at the suspension, we're adapted to this vehicle, but we have 100% air suspension here in this vehicle coming from the S-Class modules. We have a 100% rear axle steering integrated in the vehicle with 4.5 degrees. You can actually increase this angle to 10 degrees over the air, and with that you are able to basically do a round circle in 10.9 meters, which is pretty cool for this size of car with a stance of 3 meters and 21. So that's from a steering and suspension perspective. Then looking at the engines here, we see a 4x4. We have on the rear axle a PSM engine of up to 255 kilowatts. On the front side, up to 135 kilowatts. So we have an overall system power of 385 kilowatts. And for the 4x2, which would be then the engine on the rear, we are 245. We'll offer 245 in the beginning. Both, as I said, PSM engines, making sure that we have power and efficiency in balance. In the middle between these engines, what you see here is a battery of the size usable of 107.8 kilowatt hours, and then we go a little bit smaller as well with 90 kilowatt hours usable approximately for the customer. With that, we're capable of driving with the 107.8 up to 770 kilometers in WLTP. So it's a pretty good range, and the consumption is around 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Yeah, when I start maybe about charging, looking maybe at the classical 15-minute pit stop when you usually do. I mean, 15 minutes based on the WLTP consumption, we're approximately up to 300 kilometers. And then in 10 to 80%, we are approximately 31 minutes. The maximum power we have here is 200 kilowatts, which we hold on a pretty high plateau so that we can basically achieve the 300 kilometers, as mentioned before. And then from a recuperation perspective, we're going to have recuperation, when I talk about recuperation power, coming into the battery up to more than 250 kilowatts.
To fulfill the expectations of Mercedes S-Class customers, for sure the EQS must deliver a perfect ride and a superb powertrain. And what that car delivers regarding to these two things, I'm going to have a short chat with a Mercedes expert now. So now I'm in the EQS, unfortunately on the passenger seat, but nevertheless, this will provide me with a first feeling of that car. Holger, when we talk about the EQS, we talk about an electric S-Class. But what have you done, or what can you deliver regarding to driving performance with that battery electric vehicle.
So in our project it was very important to have driving dynamics like an S-Class also in this vehicle. So we decided for an all-wheel drive configuration in this vehicle, having 385 kilowatts installed, 135 in the front axle and 255 in the rear axle. And I guess 4.3 seconds 0 to 100 talks a lot about this.
What's really interesting is we're in the car, and of course I expected a very quiet, very smooth ride with an S-Class when it's electric, but this car delivers even more. Can you tell me what you did?
NVH comfort was a very important goal during the development of this car, of the EQS. Therefore we decided for double decoupling of the motors, each at the front and the rear axle. There's also insulation of the motors with special NVH foams, and also the auxiliaries like the HVAC compressors. The HVAC compressor is insulated in special foam, and we use double insulated glass. And also within the body in white, in the volumes within the body in white, there's a special foam incorporated during the production process that expands and makes a lot of NVH comfort within the body in white itself.
What's really interesting is to see how agile this car feels. Even as I'm only sitting on the passenger seat, it still really feels very interesting, very nice. And I absolutely can't wait to drive this car myself, to enjoy the electric S-Class. But for now, I have to say it's something very unique, very special, and I'm really looking forward to the next appointment with that car. One of the big eye catches at the interior of the new EQS is for sure the new so-called hyperscreen, which is nothing different than a curved glass which covers 3 different displays. First of all, you do have a 12.3-inch fully digital cockpit. Then you find a 17.7-inch touchscreen here, OLED, and you do find a 12.3-inch touchscreen for the passenger OLED technology as well. And this together gives you a screen which has a width of more than 140 centimeters. So that's really the thing you look at first. And of course you do find MBUX at the latest generation in the car as well, which not only means that you do have a perfect voice control, you also have the opportunity to absolutely have the perfect sat-nav for electric driving, like things like charging, how much you have to pay, how much you have to charge, and all this stuff will be calculated automatically. On top of this, that car really offers you loads and loads of space. You look at me, I'm nearly 2 meters tall. I sit perfectly at the front, and we checked it already with a colleague. He can sit behind me. He's 1.80 meters easily. On top, you do find completely new materials. So the car comes as standard, completely animal-free. But if you want, you can, of course, have leather. And if you want, you can have these new fabrics like here or like here, which really not only look good, they also touch absolutely nice. And because we're talking about EQ, we do of course find rosé gold, and what you have is a light band which runs really from the side over the dashboard to the other side, really wraps around the driver and the co-driver and gives you so the absolute cozy feeling. And another eye catcher is really this center console here that really is hovering inside of the car from this armrest into the dashboard. And you do have loads of space here. This is typical Mercedes, so the splitted armrest, but in front of it you do find a big compartment with wireless charging, cup holders and all that stuff. And underneath you have another big storage compartment with an extra band here to adjust things, and you can easily put an iPad in there. And of course you do find more than enough USB sockets to connect and to charge all your mobile devices. The battery is the core element of each battery electric vehicle, and that was it from the world premiere of the new Mercedes EQS. And when we talk about data and figures, and when we talk about the look, that really is a new S-Class. But I have one more thing in the pocket, which is if you buy that car fully loaded, like this edition one here, you not only get this two-tone color trim, you can also have this lovely electric doors as well. And now I can't really wait to just jump into the car and drive it myself.